Hello and welcome to today's episode of Today in Quarantine. I'm Renee Cross, your host, coming to you live from Lincoln, Nebraska, where the corn is yay high and the grass is knee high as well. Today is Memorial Day. It is May 25th, 2020. So I want to take a second and thank all those who may be watching and who maybe have served, or those who are remembering somebody that they have lost in any wars across the history of the United States, and also just, wars all around the world. Thank you for your service. Thank you for making the ultimate sacrifice by losing a friend. So we thank you for that. One of the cool things about this Memorial Day that's in quarantine around the world, there was a bugle playing of taps, and taps is that kind of the sad military song. It's usually played at like military funerals. And the cool thing about it is it's all built on the harmonic overtone series. And so today at 3 p.m., all across the world, and 3 p.m. at different time zones, so it's not all at the same time, buglers and trumpeters all around the world played taps. And that is that song that goes dun da 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 da. So it was pretty cool to see that happen and see it happen. I saw a couple people who are friends of mine who are trumpet players posted on their Facebook. So very cool. Very cool stuff. Speaking of some music, yesterday I mentioned that I was going to go to a friend's concert in the park, and I did end up going. It was really cool. They're a brass quintet made of LPS. That's a school district that I work for. I used to work for. They're music teachers, and they two trumpets, one French horn, one trombone, and a tuba, and so they all sit 6 feet apart, which is just perfect enough, just enough space so that it's fine to, or it's okay to be there. And then they played a bunch of different tunes. And one of the other cool things about these days is that on yesterday was supposed to be all of the Lincoln High School's graduation day. And of course, that's not happening. And so I don't know if any of the high schools did a virtual graduation here in town, but what they did instead is that at 8:20, which is, or 8:20 p.m., which is 2020 military time, they had people go outside and clap and just kind of cheer the graduates on from wherever they were. So when I was at that concert last night, the really cool thing about it was that they played Pomp and Circumstance, which is the graduation song, da 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 da. And they played it at 8:20, and everybody was just kind of like cheering them on. It was really cool. We asked to see if there were any graduates, but there weren't any around, like in our little vicinity. So it was a really cool idea. Um, Love to get involved with that. They called themselves the COVID 5 Quarantet. So if you have some time, look them up on Facebook. They're pretty cool. They've been going around to different parks and doing this. So yeah, I'm gonna have to catch them the next time. It was really cool to watch. One thing I've been thinking about today is I watched Back to the Future 2 with a friend today, and it was interesting because uh, I watched Back to the Future in high school. I had a friend in high school who really loved Back to the Future for some reason, and he kind of like convinced all of us to watch it. And I wasn't super impressed at the time. I was like, it's okay. And I'm still kind of like, meh, it's okay. But it was cool to watch it again, kind of with fresh eyes on it. Have you ever seen Back to the Future? Let me know in the chat. But the one thing that kind of pervades this idea of uh, the time travel and the future is that whenever they go back to the future, they have to be careful. Or sorry, whenever they go back in the past, they have to be careful not to mess anything up. Because if they just do even one little slip up, it will just cause everything else in the future to get all jumbled up. And you see this concept in a ton of different movies and shows. The Flash, if you've ever watched The Flash on the CW or on Netflix, it also just really follows this theme of the main character Barry just really wants to go back into the future and fix some things, or back. He keeps saying back into the future. He wants to go back to the past and fix some things, or he wants to race to the future and fix some other things, but he can't, because if he goes back there and messes things up, then it's just a whole chain of events that just leads to messing it up. So I was talking to a friend while we're watching this movie. It's like, yeah, would you go back to the future and change things? I was like, no, I wouldn't want to change anything because I like where I'm at now. And you really don't know what uh, what things you would do, like what things would happen if you went back and changed the one event. Like, what if um, I don't know. I mean, like small trivial things. I don't know if they would change anything. If you wore a different shirt one day or something like that. But what if I didn't end up working in Lincoln Public School? Or here's a good example. Um, when I was student teaching about 2 years ago, actually, yeah, exactly 2 years ago, just about. Um, I before I was student teaching, I was introduced to my cooperating teacher, who was an orchestra teacher. Now I play the double bass, but I'm not really a strings person, and so I was like, why am I with an orchestra person? I need to be with a band person. And so I emailed my supervisor and I was like, hey, why am I with a strings person? I need to be with a band person. And she was like, yeah, sorry, we can't change it. There's really no way to tell who's strings and who's band. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, fine. But that experience, even though I may wish, oh, I wish I was with a band person because I know a little bit more, even though I may wish that, um, I'm pretty sure, like, that experience helped me get to where I am today because my last job was just teaching strings. And I literally would not have known how to do any of those things um, with without that student teaching experience because student teaching, I had to like tune kids' cellos. Never tuned a cello before. What? So, yeah, definitely wouldn't want to go back and change that because, then my whole future would change. And where would I be right now? Charmaine says, or Andrew and Charmaine both agree that it's a classic movie. Charmaine says she snuck into the dean's house to watch it when she was 16. What a time. See, Charmaine, would you go back and change that moment? Because if you change that moment right now, you'd be saying, oh, one day I thought about sneaking into the dean's office to watch a movie. My mom says it reminds her of Adventures in Odyssey. Yeah, actually, it is very Adventures in Odyssey. Like, as I was listening to the theme of Back to the Future, is da 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 da. So there's that, and then the Adventures in Odyssey theme is actually very similar. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. It's not super similar, but rhythmically it's almost the same. So they have very similar elements. And Wits End has the Imagination Station. Wow, I can't believe I just pulled that out of my memory. It's been so long since I've listened to Adventures in Odyssey. Andrew says, I wonder who came first. Let's find out. When did Adventures in Odyssey come out? Start. Adventures in Odyssey started in 1987. And let's see, when did Back to the Future come out? Back to the Future came out in 1985, which is appropriate because the movie's home base is 1985. Really cool. It's actually interesting. In Back to the Future 2, they go forward to the future and they go to the year 2015, which in 1985, it was 30 years in the future. And the things that they thought would happen in 2015 were like flying cars, uh, virtual reality, uh, video conferencing. Um, there are some other things like hoverboards, skateboards, and they didn't miss the mark on some of those things, like video conferencing. Definitely a thing. Definitely a thing. Yeah, 3D everything, says Andrew. That's another thing. I mean, we don't really have 3D everything right now, but there's a lot of 3D stuff. Almost every movie is coming out. Well, a lot of action movies come out in 3D. Um, yeah, they had things like dust repellent paper, which is kind of cool. Just listing off some of the things I'm trying to remember from the movie. But yeah, it's very interesting what they thought would be 2015. And now I think with like cars, I think the biggest thing in that movie is like, oh yeah, there's gonna be flying cars in 2015. Um, but yeah, we're not there yet. At least we don't think so. So check it out. It's on Netflix. All three of them are on Netflix. Um, Interesting little portrayal of what life would be. Today, like I said, is May 25th. It's a Monday. Man, the days just kind of blur together, but it is Monday. And it is very rainy outside today. I think there's a flash flood warning today, um, which just means it's just going to rain a lot, to be honest. Um, but it's still a nice day. I was actually biking earlier in the rain. So, yeah, there you go. And now we come to the part of the show where I tell you some dad jokes. You groan, you pretend not to laugh because you don't want to laugh. You don't think this is worth laughing at. But let me tell you, it's worth laughing at. So sit back, relax, and take a laugh. Because a goat, a drum, and a snake fell off a cliff. Badum. Or, well, badum. My cat thinks it's pretty funny. There's faint laughter in the background. So I forgot to unplug my headphones. Oh boy. Um, let's see. Oh man, I was gonna tell a joke today about a balloon, but it just got away from me. Thank you, thank you. What's it like to work for a hot air balloon company? Well, it has its ups and downs. Oh boy. What do you call a man who can't stand? Neil. Oh man. Oh man. You know, T Rex have pretty small hands, but you know why? You know why you can't clap, or T Rexes can't clap? It's because they're extinct. Hey, what did the drummer call his twin daughters? And a one, and a two. Oh boy. Ah, man, it just gets me every time. Every single time. Last one for today. As a teacher, I fully resonate with this statement. Whiteboards are great, mostly because they're remarkable. Get it? Mark, are you gonna like erase the remarkable? Oh boy. Thank you guys for joining me today on Today in Quarantine. I'm Renee Cross, your host, and I'll see you tomorrow in quarantine for another episode of Today in Quarantine. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.